Supervisors meeting to order. In the presence this evening is Mr. Bobby Popowitz, representing the Port Royal District, Mr. Floyd Thomas, representing the Mattaponi District, Mr. Jeff Seeley, representing the Bowling Green District, Mr. Maxie Roselle, representing the Weedy Church District, and I'm Wayne Akers, and I represent the Madison District. I'm going to ask Mr. Thomas if he would lead us in invocation this evening, after which I'm going to ask that you stand for Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Thomas.
Let us pray. Dear Father God, we come before you this day to once again say thank you for all the many blessings you've given us. Thank you for your grace and your mercy, Lord. We come before you again this day to once again ask your blessings. We ask that you guide us, direct us, allow us to do things that are right for the county. And as we approach the coming season, Lord, we ask that you touch every heart that's here, every family in the county, every life in the country. We ask that you give us the true meaning of Christmas again. Give us that true spirit. Let us know that love is what conquers all. These blessings and all we ask in the name of Jesus the Christ. Amen.
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 Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amendments to the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, there is only a closed session that needs to be added to the agenda, and it is pertaining to legal counsel and legal advisement for the Aqua.
Virginia rate case, and also
Oh, that's what you guys are reading
about the public utilities.
Okay. Is there a motion to amend the agenda to add those items?
So moved. Second.
Motion by Mr. Seeley, seconded by Mr. Popowitz. Discussion on the motion. All in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The motion is carried. Opening board comments. Mr. Popowitz.
I have none.
Mr. Thomas.
None.
Mr. Seeley.
No, sir.
Mr. Roselle.
None, Mr. Chairman.
I have no opening comments either. Next item on the agenda is presentations and reports, and the first is Mr. Stunkel, VDOT monthly report.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Evening.
Seems like I just saw you.
Yep, it does.
Of course, I understand that the county is represented at the 6-year plan public hearing in Richmond that's going on as we speak. I will say that in terms of the cuts that are proposed to the 6-year plan, that Caroline fared pretty well. You were not one of the 87 counties that had $160-some million taken from their secondary construction budget. So,
Is that because we didn't have anything to begin with? No.
no, but I would not suggest gloating about that because some of your neighbors did not fare as well.
You're right.
All right. We do know a little bit more as far as the phase 3 of the blueprint for VDOT. People impacted by phase 3 of the blueprint, which includes the Bowling Green residency offices, will receive their layoff notices the week of January the 4th. And the proposal is that all employees will either be going home or to their new assignments by April the 23rd. So sometime between now and then, hopefully we'll be able to present you with a picture of what the organization will look like after that time and who you all will be dealing with on your highway matters. That's really all that I have this evening.
All right. Any questions of Mr. Stunkel that we, other board members, need to have addressed? Mr. Popowitz?
No, I just want to thank you, Charlie, for taking care of that problem over on Roselle Road. We really appreciate that. That was.
Okay.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes, Mr. Stunkel, with limited funding, we're not going to be affected with our speed studies like the one you're doing on Moore's Mill. Those are still normal maintenance?
There are some proposals out there as far as your secondary speed limits, that would potentially lower the speed limit for different categories of secondary roads.
Okay.
That would hopefully reduce the number of speed studies that we have to do in the future, because they do cost money. But for the time being, we're continuing to operate as we have.
Okay, these proposals you're talking about are really coming from the state, right?
They're from the state, yes.
So the state legislature is going to mandate what the speed limit will be on secondary roads, so it'll save money for VDOT.
That's the plan.
I just wanted to say that out loud to see if it made sense to you, but okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Seeley?
No, sir. No questions.
All right. Mr. Rozelle?
Just the, you have a timeline still on the Common Church project? I know it's ahead of schedule, but when do you estimate it to be completed?
I can tell you what the official drop dead completion date is. I don't know what the estimated completion date is at this time.
You can like send me an email or something?
Well, I don't know that we want at this stage of the game, we want to go out there and give a definite date, but maybe by spring we'll be in a better position to see what things look like.
Thank you.
All right. Charlie, thank you. Appreciate you coming out this evening.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Report from Caroline County Agricultural Fair. Mrs. Whitaker. Good to see you this evening, Francine.
Good to see you, Mr. Akers, Mr. Thomas, Mr. Popowitz, Mr. Seeley, Mr. Rozelle, and Mr. Ashcraft, and county staff. And I am certainly pleased to be here. As all of you, I think, know me, I'm Fran Whitaker, and I have the pleasure of being president of the Caroline County Fair Association this year. And hopefully I can do this thing right. And I'm not doing it. It's not going up. Double click.
Double click on it.
Huh?
Double click on it. Hit it twice fast.
Twice fast. Thank you. You know I'm a nurse and I have technological deficits in my background. But anyway, I am pleased to be here representing the county fair. And as you know, we are a nonprofit 501c3 organization whose mission is to encourage understanding of agriculture history here in Caroline County and to educate about present-day agricultural, business, and community activities. And we do this through our fair venue each year with the different displays that we have, our competitive events, and encouraging attendance at our fair by our publicity and hoping that Caroline County citizens and those citizens in the greater area, because we just don't close it to Caroline citizens, will come out to enjoy the fair and participate in the various competitions that we have. Of course, we try to do all of this in a fiscally responsible manner as well. If we recall just a year ago when we made our 2008 report, the future of the Caroline County Fair was very uncertain. We knew we had no home that we would be going to in 2009. We knew we could no longer be at the Virginia Bazaar. We had outgrown that particular site for the fair because we had grown in size. And so we came to you with a rather bleak future. But let's look at all the things that we've been able to accomplish in 2009, and these are the things that will be highlighted tonight. First, I want to say we began 2009 participating in the Virginia Association of Fairs Convention. And this is our trade organization to which we belong. And we were been given the opportunity to participate in the Communication Awards. And this is a time in which we compete with fairs of similar size, and by that I mean of the attendance. That's how the competitions are done. And we had such wonderful advertisements in the Caroline Progress. We had very nice posters, our fair booklet, and other advertising items that have been done for us by Ms. Deloach with Ace Creatives. We also had one of our Heritage Committee members, Ms. Tate, is very talented with scrapbooking. So we took advantage of this and we entered the competition. And as you can see, we came away with first and second place prizes on various entries, which put our name out there on the state level, which we felt like was very important. Another accomplishment in 2009 was the establishment of our own website. And our webmaster is Mr. Herbert Tate, who put this up for us. We certainly have used this in fair advertising, and when the fair was over, we've listed all the winners, and you can go on that at any time to see who the various winners were and the other activities that we've done. And we had quite a few hits in the prior 90 days just up to the fair, and felt like that this was a very important thing that we had accomplished in 2009. But one of, I guess, our most important accomplishment, as we had no home in early 2009, in springtime we were given a gift of a 40-acre site by Mrs. Ann Tate and her family. And this has been a three-generation family farm family, and this was a wonderful gift for us. Ms. Tate is very committed to the fair. She feels like it's a venue of good, clean fun, and she'd like to see that continue. Her children as well have been very involved in these activities through the years. But as we receive this site, which is adjacent to the sports complex, as you know, on Route 1 between Carmel Church and Ladysmith, how would we prepare the site and get it ready for our July fair? But you can see what we were able to accomplish. Of course, this was at a time when the economic situation was not quite the best that it could be for us, but we were able to accomplish these things. We worked with our friends at Rappahannock Electric. We had a volunteer come forth, Mr. Danny Smith, who happened to be a retired REC member who worked lots and lots of hours collaborating between fair trustees and REC to get some of those things in place that we needed to be able to do our very minimum. And what you see is what we determined would be the minimum we would need in order to open the county fair in July. But we did exceed a little bit. Toward the end of the list, you see, we had a company give us an asphalt pad for our entertainment area. We have a beautiful landscaped entrance by English Acres, and as well as our flagpoles. And you can see the hours that were put into this, putting basic infrastructure of 1,000+ hours. Now, how can you put a money value on that? Because it was so many talented, very kind of high dollar labor cost here. Even if we did a minimum of $30 an hour, you can see what those costs would have been if we had to pay for that. But fortunately, the fair trustees, of which there are 15, is a multi-talented group who have lots of resources and access to lots of resources. So it really made us be kind of in a good spot. Of course, as we said, we worked with our fellow company, Rappahannock Electric. We knew the cost of that would be just under $10,000, and where would we come up with the money, because we didn't have $10,000. But we kind of go on faith, and our fair manager, Mr. Wright, came up with the idea of Light Up the Fair campaign, in which all we did was promise an individual or a business for a donation of $100. Your name would be on a banner at the entrance to the fair in 2009, and that's all we promised. And you can see we raised over $10,000 for this campaign. That helped us with our minimum, what the minimum we needed for the Light Up the Fair or the electric part. We are continuing this into 2010 because, as you know, we're not fully utilizing the 40-acre site. We still need to put more infrastructure in place, so we're continuing this campaign. And I would say at this point, if you don't see your name on this banner, we would welcome the opportunity to assist you in putting your name on the banner as well. Now, of course, because we were given the site from the Tate family farm, we wanted to draw some attention to that, and heritage is very important part of the county fair venue. So we did an educational display talking about the heritage of this farm and how the roots back in Caroline County. And one of the things that was very interesting is it was one of the first farms to receive electricity in 1936. So we also tied that into Rappahannock Electric, who did do a display for us on Thursday night of the fair. Another thing that was accomplished is we now have permanent signage on Jeff Davis Highway, something that probably would have taken us several years to have in place, but we had a donation from a sign company, and this sign has a value of $7,000. And this gives good publicity for the county. It shows the permanent home of the county fair site, and it is made so we can change our dates from year to year. We felt like that this added a lot to the Route 1 corridor between Carmel Church and Ladysmith. Of course, we were so pleased with our ribbon cutting ceremony. We've got things put in place, so July 22nd we had that ceremony of which all of you were in attendance there on that hot July afternoon. We were very pleased at that attendance, which exceeded 150 people. We also had Senator McDougal there as well, and we felt like that this support from the board and county representatives, county staff, and the citizens of Caroline gave us the encouragement that we needed, knowing that people wanted the county fair to be in place. Of course, our focus with the county fair is our children's activities, and we've tried to keep our admission rates quite reasonable so that children can attend and families as well. We do not charge admission for those 10 and under, and we had over 2,500 children in attendance this year and over 3,000 adults. We do work collaboratively with social services, and on Saturdays, if you bring so many canned goods, you can come into the fair for free. So we were able to just take in just under 700 cans of food for the social services food pantry. And we felt that was very important because we know all the food pantries certainly have been suffering this year as well. We also had the event participants, and what that means is all those people who came and did pie eating contests and shucking the corn and all those things. Then we have our vendors, of which we could not exist without the vendors, and then our volunteers as well. We always are looking for activities for children, and this year we were able to roll out the grandparent essay contest, in which we worked with the county school system in distributing the forms, and simply a child had to write a paragraph why their grandmother or grandfather should be the fair grandparent of the year, in which we have some of the winners that were able to come in and have their pictures taken, and they did receive a cash prize of $25 if they were the first place winner. So that was a little incentive for these children to participate as well. We also were able to work with the school system with art contests. The school teacher, the art school teacher was able to put together she had her art show, and she took the exhibits from there, and we used them in our homemaking goods tent is where we put them, and one of the local artists, Miss Barbara Bird, did the judging for that. So we had all of these, if you went into the homemaking tent, you saw all of these works of art by children in the county displayed with lots of ribbons. And I want to say, when you receive ribbons for things in home goods under that department, you do receive some premium money as well. So they had an opportunity to make a few dollars with their first, second, and third place wins as well. Another thing, our antique truck show was new this year, and that fell under heritage. Again, we're working with history here. We want to capture that and not lose that aspect of the world in which we live. And we had some entries as far north as Alexandria. So we were very pleased about that. So we are extending beyond Caroline County. And of course, what is a fair without the biggest pumpkin? So we had that as well. And this just sort of gives you all the contests that we have, with the hog calling, rooster crowing, things that people seem to have fun with. And then a favorite activity is the dog show that is on Saturday mornings that is put on with the Humane Society. So that's always a fun activity and very well attended. And lots of happy faces here because everyone likes to win these ribbons and have a good time. Another important activity is Daycare Friday, in which we offer to the daycare providers in the county the opportunity to bring the children. And the fair is not open to the public at this time, and they have an opportunity to visit with all of the animals, to have the hayride, the corn bin, have all of these activities to themselves. And they always go away with a nice bag of goodies that Ms. Morris, one of our fair volunteers, puts together with everything from McDonald's coupons for ice cream cones to pencils from Union Bank and various other businesses in the county. So they go away with a nice little bag of goodies, and they always seem to have a very good time. And this year you can see we had over 200 children at our Daycare Friday. Of course, we knew as the economy was changing this year that more people would do what we call staycations. They would be looking for entertainment close to home. So this year we thought that we had a perfect venue for that, and also you always have a carnival or a midway at a county fair, and we have been working very successfully with Sherwood Amusements from Great Falls, Maryland, and Roger Watkins was very excited that we would be having a new site. In fact, he doubled the size of the midway, brought extra rides, renovated some rides so he'd have a very nice venue to give us, and in fact we had a 2 Ferris wheel midway. And I think that's pretty phenomenal to have 2 Ferris wheels at a county fair. So that was pretty exciting as well. And we do try to give good value for the money, and we do have the pre-purchase wristband opportunities in which those sales are ahead of time before the fair opens, and you can purchase one for a child in certain days and times. They can ride as much as they want during that time. Lots and lots of riding. And we work with the county library system for sales of those, so we appreciate the opportunity to do that as well. Of course, one of the big things for us this year was being able to be the first public rollout of the All-American City logo for Caroline County, as the county had just received that award in early summer, and we were approached by Ms. Beard with tourism about the opportunity, and we had a wonderful way to do that on the Thursday night of the fair, and we're just glad that we could do that, because that is very important publicity for the county, and it's certainly a great honor for us to be part of that. New contest this year we had was the Caroline Idol, and you know our entertainment person is Wickham Coleman Jr., and you know how he likes entertainment. This was his brainstorm, and the winner, I know he even went to the Harvest Festival and was he provided entertainment with this year's Harvest Festival. So that was good. So it wasn't just a fair thing. It kind of has extended to other activities throughout the county as well. And then, of course, there's the good picture, lots of pictures of fun for all ages here, from the little babies to the great-grandmothers, something for everyone. Important for us is our exit survey. We felt like we had a good fair, but we need feedback. We need to know what can we do to improve, what wasn't so good, just what do people think about this. So as they leave the fair, we provide them the opportunity to complete this exit survey. And we found, and these were the findings this year, 76% were Caroline residents, so that knows that we did extend beyond the Caroline borders, and that was good to know. And people came with a few other people. At least 66% came with 2 other people. They always seem to like the agriculture displays, and that would be our Caroline Barn, which Mr. Buster Tate does that. He's chairman of that area, and with all of the animals that he spends all year long putting together what kind of animals he's going to have and what he will have for the children to see and do in that area. One thing was a comment that came up was the sense of community, and I thought that was a very interesting comment. I don't believe we'd had that one before, and so that was a good feeling that they came and they felt like it was kind of a small town feel to the whole fair experience. And then there was overwhelming approval for the new location. So that was very exciting to hear that too, because I don't believe we had overwhelming approval on prior sites. Oops, sorry about that. We could not do any of this without sponsors, and you can see we have some of our the businesses and individuals listed who did provide various either money or goods and services for sponsorships. And what they receive in return is they certainly have some ads in our booklet that we have, and as well as banners throughout the fair site. And then our trustees and volunteers. As I said, we have a board of 15 trustees and various close volunteers, and this year we're over 6,000 hours of service. Now, this does not include those volunteers who assisted us with the gate entries, with driving the hay wagon for the hay rides and that type of thing. These people who were there many weeks ahead, during the fair, and weeks after the fair, because the fair just doesn't happen a few days in July. It is an ongoing, year-long activity. So we know this is really kind of a best guesstimate and probably is on the low side, but 6,000 hours, I mean, that is a lot of commitment by a lot of people. Okay. We feel like that this is a win-win situation here for the county and businesses. They have the opportunity to come and reach out to customers by advertising. We can promote county services. I know we have, the county has usually a table set up. Ms. Beard did with Department of Tourism. It gives nonprofits an opportunity to do some fundraising. And one thing that the county fair does, and I'm not so sure people know about this, is that this was the second year that we had provided a $500 scholarship to a Germanna Community College student for a county resident. And we started this in 2008, and we were able to continue in 2009, even though our coffers were quite slim and we knew we had a lot of expenses looming trying to bring up a new site. But the trustees are very committed to this. And this goes through the Germanna Community College Education Foundation. And Ms. Slattery, with whom we communicate with, said that we were one of the few organizations that continued to provide scholarships this year. Because of the economy, so many had stopped. But this is simply, if you can go on their website, for someone who, they don't have to be in a particular degree program. They could be a mom returning to work, what have you. Whatever the need, they complete that application. And this year, the winner was Ms. Conchita Green, who is a student in the nursing program there at Germanna. Fundraising events and next steps. Well, with now having a permanent home, we know that we can set our fair dates ahead of time, and we already have. You can see we've changed to a Wednesday through Saturday venue for 2010, and we've already tried to get the word out. We've mailed out keep the date postcards to our various vendors and sponsors and volunteers, as well as we have these cards available at the Visitor Center at Carmel Church, so that hopefully people come through, maybe take a card and put it on the calendar and come back to Caroline in July. We also knew this year we need to do some fundraising because there's other things that we need to do. We had our first ag trade show in October 31st, which is sort of a flea market for animals, and that was somewhat successful despite the rainy day. And you know that we picked up the tailgate trick-or-treat event because the Friends of the Ladysmith Library could no longer do that, so the fair picked that up, and we put together with that a Fall Fun Festival. And we certainly appreciate the board supporting that tailgate trick-or-treat event with a donation of money that we used to buy candy for the children. We feel like this was very successful despite the rain. We had 110 children come to costume judging contest, and we had 650 children come to tailgate trick-or-treat. And that was in an hour and 20 minutes. A lot of children, but it went very well. We also, since then, and not on this, we have had a fundraising dinner with the Caroline Moose Lodge to raise some additional funds. And this Sunday, we're having a holiday kind of Brunswick stew, which will be at Carmel Church Rental. And Jeffrey Honan is helping us, and we will be selling Brunswick stew this Sunday at noon at Carmel Church, if you'd like to come by then. Well, why are we doing this? Why are we raising this money? We know we need to go for rezoning, and we know we have to submit some money with that application, so that's what we're trying to do to get our money together. We certainly will appreciate the board's approval or support when this comes forth for your review and to think about us and when that comes to you. But that's what we've been trying to raise money for, and we have been successful, and I believe we have enough to do that. So you should be seeing that sometime in the near future. Of course, we want to plan for the future. We've had any number of people approach us about, you know, would you be interested, can certain people use your site, this, what have you. But we can't do anything until the rezoning is in place. So, but we would certainly love to share our site in whichever way, you know, we could and be supportive in the county. One of the things that you don't have up here on the slide, but you have in your packet, is the money aspect of all of this. In that I know the board has supported us. Last year we received $15,000, and I believe that comes from Department of Tourism. And what happened to that money? We know publicity is the big aspect. We tried to streamline that as much as we could. It certainly is costly putting ads on the radio and having ads in the Caroline Progress, as well as our posters and the flyers, and we went to a brochure concept this year so that we could take advantage of the space at the visitor center to display those. Our publicity, which also included some minimal website expense, as well as ribbon cutting and our stamps and ink, was $11,000, a little over $11,000. And that was really cutting it down. We cut down the number of booklets and everything the best that we could because we know we needed to stretch the money. Of course, the other expense we have are activities for children, the things that we do, the premiums that we give, premiums meaning the money prizes, as well as having the pedal tractor pull contest. We pay that vendor to come in to do that. And for those expenses with Caroline's Barn and the ribbons, I mean, the ribbons are beautiful ribbons, but they're not free, even though we have a very, the best price that we can find, and those expenses were a little over $3,000. So we're already up just over $14,000 just for those expenses alone. Of course, we have to have insurance, and we know how pricey insurance is when you have a venue such as the fair, and that's approximately $1,900 a year. Along with that, well, how did we finance all of this that we did? We talked about the Light Up the Fair campaign, which brought in over $10,000. We talked about the $15,000 here that the county had graciously gave to us. But we had our sponsors, and money came from those, the vendors that also pay money to be vendors there. A little over $13,000 in gate income, but we don't charge children under 10 and under. So, and our fee has been very reasonable, $5. We may have to look at that. I know up in Highland County, a county certainly way up there, they charge $8. So we might have to look at the Caroline fee, but we do get a little bit of profit from the midway, a percentage of that, and then we had the pony ride lady, and we got a little bit percentage from that as well, but not that much. So our total income was approximately $63,000, of which the $44,900 was donations and a little over $18,000 in fair operations. But of course, our expenditures are pretty hefty, over $74,000, of which our $42,000 were our improvements, which we did. But we had a little bit of money when we started the year. Of course, we're not having much money this year at all because we're having fundraising, so we can do an application for zoning. Are there any questions for me or anything? I do want to say, even though we don't bring direct revenue to the county like the State Fair of Virginia does, we do promote a positive image for Caroline County, not only locally, but regionally and statewide as well. And we are going to be attending the Association of Fairs Convention in January. A few of us will go to that. That is an expense that we pay for ourselves because we don't have the money to put that bill for our members. But we feel it is important. Again, we are participating in communication awards contest, and we feel like that hopefully will keep Caroline on the map on the state level as well. But anyway, that's all that I have, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight.
Thank you, Francine. Board members, Mr. Popowich, do you have any questions or comments?
Ms. Whitaker, when are you putting your application in for the rezoning?
May I consult with the fair manager?
Like 30
Within
days?
30 days. That's why I have the whole group here. They have to assist me.
Mr. Chairman, we've been kicking around an idea for something that we did at the town of Bridgewater some years ago, and it was a public overlay zoning, and it pertained to educational facilities, and I think something like this would fit in with that. I'd like to direct staff to go ahead and put that together and put an ordinance together to allow a public zoning overlay like that. Well, what would happen is if the fair ever left or whatever facility was there ever left, that the original zoning that's there would come back, but it would be an overlay for something like this, and it would be something that would be a lot easier to deal with these types of facilities.
Sounds good. Mr. Fincham, did you hear the comments from Mr. Popowitz? You're going to start the process?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you.
I think we're in good shape. Mr. Thomas, you have any questions, comments?
Fran, I guess you know really the county by law is required to make you pay for the rezoning fees?
Yes, we know, we're aware of that, yes.
Okay,
That's
so
why we did the fundraising.
Okay.
That's why we did it. We're going to do things like we need to do them.
So it's not like we want to force you to do that, but I just want to ask if you would object to the county making a donation later that's equivalent to those zoning fees?
We would have absolutely no problem with that at all.
Just checking. Thank you.
Mr. Seeley?
I spent 4 days at the fair this year, and I've got to say that it was absolutely fabulous, and I think all the work that the committee has done to bring the fair to the county has been absolutely stupendous, and look forward to next year.
Thank you.
Mr. Rozelle?
None, Mr. Chair, other than very nice report. Appreciate that all the time. I see a lot of time and effort into it, and
Thank you.
everyone, I think, is very proud of the fair that you guys have accomplished. Great job.
Thank you.
Francine, the board certainly has been complimentary, and I will be as well. Certainly the county fair has been something that I've been proud of over the years. As you travel through the state, and I do travel through the state a lot, and you see other counties that have fairs, and we went for many years without a fair. And so now we're right in with other localities. We have just as, in fact, our fair in Caroline County is probably better than some of the others I've attended in other localities. And so I commend you. I commend the fair board, the trustees of the fair. You've done a splendid job, and I know it was many years there was a small number of people trying to do many things.
Yes.
But it's great that you've increased the number of people involved in the process, and the results this past year showed that the increase was beneficial to the fair as well as to the county. The board appreciates you. I know the citizens of Caroline County appreciate you and what you do to make Caroline County a better place to live, to work, and to play. And I want to thank you for that.
Mr. Chairman, before you let her go, I really can't see that far, but I think I see at least one tape back in the audience, so I think the county owes a, okay,
I see two.
Two. See, I told you I couldn't see that far, but there's at least a couple. I think the county owes another thank you to the Tate family, in particular Mrs. Tate, who I don't see back there, but I'm sure what Mrs. Tate wants to do, the rest of the Tate boys go along with, so.
I think Mama rules pretty much.
I know that. But I think we owe another debt of gratitude to the Tate family for making this permanent site really happen, and I failed to mention it, so I wanted to make sure.
You're absolutely correct, and I think it's commendable to the children to give up their inheritance, if you will, to some degree. They give up 40 acres of their inheritance when Mom asked them, and it's my understanding, I was talking to Buster over the weekend, and he indicated that it was unanimous among the family members that when Mom mentioned it, all of the children said, yes, we agree with your thought process. And so absolutely, Caroline County is indebted to the Tate family for that gift, and we appreciate you tremendously.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We look forward to hearing from you in 2010 about what you'd like to contribute.
Absolutely. I'm sure that we'll treat you as fairly as we can. All right. Next item is the presentation of proposal for a new Dawn Library. Ms. Brooks, how are you this evening?
Thank you. Good evening. On behalf of the Library Board and the Dawn Committee, I'd like to thank you for putting the Dawn project on the agenda for this evening. We've reached another milestone in the development of the project and come here tonight to update you on our progress and to show you some plans. Al Johnson, our treasurer of the Library Board, would like to speak, followed by our architect, Glenn Reynolds, who will present the plans, and then I'd like to offer some closing remarks.
Okay.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Over the many years, the county library has grown from virtually nothing to what I consider now to be something you should be very, very proud of. The board has supported the library throughout this period, as have many volunteers, almost too numerous to mention. They've been involved at both the board level, the Friends level, various levels within the county. Recently, in the 2005-2006 period, we built a new branch there in Ladysmith that provides many facilities which we didn't have before, and it has been a resounding success. The participation of the county residents is way up. They're using it for not only the books and the research materials, but for the job searching and all of the various things they can do with the computers. We also recently acquired a very good historical archive for the county, much with your support and through your help. That is much appreciated. We think the county has every right to be very, very proud of the library system. It is both a what I would call a very frugal organization and a very customer service organization that is having a great amount of success. We are proud that the library was a meaningful part of the effort to become declared an all-American city. Currently, the Dawn branch is 600 square feet and lacks the needed facilities to provide the kind of support or customer service we'd like to provide to the patrons of the county. And that's one of the reasons for the project. The groundbreaking that we had with the Dawn project, again, demonstrated your continued support to the library and the improving service to the community of Dawn, and we are greatly appreciative of that. The community has really rallied around this project, and the anticipation is very high, as demonstrated by many of the attendees that are here tonight in support of our effort. The community has responded wonderfully through the efforts of the various volunteers, through book sales, brick sales, donations, grants, etc. we've been able to raise over $94,000 towards this project, and we're very proud of that effort. As I said, let's see, now, the land has now been donated, the plans have been drawn, and we're set to move on to the next phase of the project. This new facility will provide much-needed services to the Dawn community. The facility will be 5,000 square feet